Morning guys, Sifu Scott Tarbell here at Wuxia Martial Arts. Today we'll be taking a look at some Wing Tsun clinching techniques that we can use. So let's get started. Bow and we greet. All right. So when we're talking about the clinch, remember Wing Tsun has 5 different ranges, right? So range number 1 starts with the idea of kicking, right? All different types of kicks, and then we get into range 2, which is our punching, right? All different types of hand strikes and punching, fox outs, lifting punches, everything. But range 3 particularly deals with the clinch range, which in my opinion, for chi sao and for getting in close to somebody is probably the most applicable range for martial arts in terms of fighting, in terms of self-defense. You know, it's hard to trap somebody down when you can't catch them, right? But once you're able to stick with them, then you can start to trap them, then you can start to throw elbows, do some kind of, we call dirty boxing in the sport. But Wing Tsun really applies well within this clinch range. So last time that we met, we looked at a couple of different options. So we talked about Chun Kyu and how we have the hacking elbows and that we could turn side to side, right? And that with part of this, you have the regular hacking elbow and then you have the reverse hacking elbow here, right? So we talked about how these can be used in conjunction this way, if you were grabbing and striking, or if you were just turning and striking, if you were coming back, if somebody's sneaking up, I could use this thing here, right? Then we also took a look at the lifting punch. So in the Chun Kyu, we have the lifting punch here, and then we come back and we do this thing, all right? So we talked about this, that we could practice going side to side here, and I could come back and fire the Chun Sao, and then I could punch right from here, come back, and fire the Chun Sao. And all of this can be found in our previous clinch video that we had sent out. Last week we took a week off from the videos, but yeah, if you go to the week before that, check your email, you'll see that we have clinch part 1, so this is clinch part 2. All right, so now we start to get into like kind of some of the nitty gritty. The big important thing is that at home, that your shoulders are soft, right? Anytime that you're working on the clinch stuff and you're throwing elbows and you're throwing lifting punches, or even these, you know, you want to have your shoulders nice and soft like that, so you can really control and also be sensitive to pressure, right? If I'm too stiff, a common mistake people make is they get a hold of somebody and then they're like, and they want to hold them real tight. But the problem is if the person is very soft, they can wiggle out of there, right? And the takedown is always there. Remember, range 4 comes after range 3. So when somebody is clinching me and they're pulling me tight, my reaction is going to be block the knee and start to come in and look for the takedown because I'm that close, right? So we have to be aware of those things. So by being soft in the shoulders, we are able to like feel pressure. If they start going, we're able to move and then start to implement some of these things. So let's take a look here. So some drills you can do to soften up the shoulders, all right? 1 is just to kind of loosen up going forward here, right? 2, loosen up going back, right? And then I like to go from the fox out position. I'll open my palms this way, palm up, and then I'll come back and just open and close, and I'll switch hands on every time. On top every time. And this just kind of gets your shoulders nice and loose. And then you can just practice here, just throwing loose elbows, no power. Just getting it loose, all right? Up, to the side, like that. Just to get them really, really loose. So it's good to kind of mimic some of the motions that you'll end up using, right? So, okay, so now what we do is we talk about some different things. So from here, right, if I'm on guard, right, I can practice punching going forward, grabbing, and elbow. And then I just come back. Punching going forward, I grab, and I elbow. Other side, I punch going forward, maybe I miss, maybe this goes off to the side of his head, and I'm gonna use this neck pulling hand, which we find in the wooden dummy. And it's like a fuxa, right? And then I'm gonna pull in, right? And then I hit at the same time, either with the lifting punch, which is next, or the elbow, right? So I go here from Mansao Wuxia. I punch going forward, spine comes up. I miss, I grab, and I come in with this nice, sharp elbow. Now, a lot of people, they see some of the BUG students doing some crazy stuff like that, and they all want to do this, but I'd keep it simple. You know, don't worry too much about trying to make this look fancy or anything like that. It should never be at this range, because clinch range really gets broken into 2 parts, right? You have like clinch where there's a little bit of space to work here, And then you have clinch where there's like absolutely no space to work, and the guy's like crowding you, and you have to like get off the line of attack, and the clinch gets a lot shorter in terms of elbows. So the elbows will start to collapse the more proficient that you get. But at this range, I'd say up to second level, you probably don't want to be trying to do some of these things because, yeah, one, it's if you don't know what you're doing, it's quite easy for the guy to seal your elbow against your chest, and then you're all trapped in there and everything. It's just kind of awkward, right? So from here, drill number one is I punch forward, right? And you think maybe the guy tries to slip. So, you know, I train a lot of boxing and MMA and those things, and oftentimes, you know, when you go forward, if somebody tries to slip to the side, you have two ways that you can grab. It's very nice. So from here, right, if I'm punching forward and this guy tries to like maybe move out of the way, you see how I slip. If he tries to move his head out of the way as I punch forward and I see him moving out of the way, I just grab like that. I follow him, right? And then I come in and hit. All right, so this is option number one. I punch forward, all right? He starts to move his head out of the way. I'm gonna follow him, and I do turn my body a little bit like this. So forward, all right? I turn, and I come in with this elbow. And you see my hand is nice and loose. There's a little bit of an angle, right? Remember, this can always change according to the person's body, right? Where they are, if they're low or if they're high, it can always change. Yeah, but the hand's pretty loose. It's not in or anything like that. So drill number one, I punch forward, I grab, right? And I elbow. I switch hands. I punch forward, I grab, and I elbow. All right, from the side, drill number one, I punch forward, I grab, and I elbow. All right, I punch forward, I grab, and I elbow. Switch hands, punch forward, grab, and elbow. So what we have is this neck pulling hand in conjunction with the hacking elbow from the chunk cue. So this is drill number one. Let's take a look at drill number two. All right, so now, drill number two, sometimes the guy tries to slip the other way, right? So if you're fighting somebody good, they're not just gonna stay there like this and, you know, try to duke it out with you. If they do, their head is just a sitting target, right? So a good fighter is always gonna be moving their head and stuff like that. So this, as I go forward, sometimes they slip the other way. Well, the problem is now if they're slipping this way, this doesn't work so well because now their head's over here and I can't grab it, right? So what we can do is we talk about this, but I grab this way. So drill number two is I go forward like that to punch, but now they slip their head this way. So what I'm gonna do is grab, and it's a reverse grab, you see that? And then I elbow on the top. So I pull their head in a little bit and I elbow on the top. Let's look at that again. I punch forward, they slip their head to this side. So this doesn't work anymore. So what I do is I switch the grip this way. I pull and I elbow. And you can see that's the hacking elbow. Right, so single hand, I punch, I grab, and I pull. I punch, I grab, and I pull. And when I'm doing this, I'm not pulling their head down too much. But same thing, right? For the grappling defense is if I pull their head down too much, right, then now they're able to get a level change and shoot in from my legs, which I don't want to deal with at this point. And so drill number two is I punch forward, right? If they slip to the side, I grab, I pull, and I elbow. And this elbow is going to be on top, right? So when I finish, the elbow is pretty much right over where my hand is because their head's going to be here, right? I got the neck and their head is around here where my fist is. So we're just trying to elbow. It's like a quick, sharp shot here. All right, so drill number two. I punch forward, they slip to the side, I grab, I pull, and I elbow. Other side. I punch forward, they slip to the side, I grab, I pull, and same thing. See my hand? It doesn't collapse in. It's just here, just like that. So grab and pull, grab and pull. All right, and again, punching forward, grab, pull, and elbow. Punching forward, grab, pull, and elbow. Let's take a look from the side. So I go punch forward, I grab. You see my palm faces out the wall, towards the wall. Right? I grab and pull, and then I elbow right over the top. You see that? Right over the top. All right. Again, I punch forward, I grab, pull, and elbow. Other side, punch forward, I grab, pull, and elbow. Okay, so let's review. We have two drills, right? If the guy is trying to slip against my punch, drill number one, I punch forward, he tries to slip to the inside of my arm. So when he does that, I'm gonna smack the back of his head, pull, and I hit him with this elbow. Okay, that's if he's slipping to the inside, I can pull this way, all right? Drill number 2, if he slips to the outside of my arm, like this, I'm gonna grab, pull, and my elbow this way. All right, so 2 different options for when you're going forward and you start to chain punch and the guy tries to slip and, oh, my hand ends up in the empty space. I always come back, right? I come back, pull, and do this, or I come back, pull, and I do this, right? And that gives us 2 really good options of how we can use the neck pulling hand in conjunction with the hacking elbow from Chun Kyu. All right, guys, so that is your weekly supplemental video, clinch part 2. We'll be doing a lot of clinch here for the next few weeks. So try to take these 2 things, work them out. Don't worry about too much power. Just see if you can get this in conjunction with each other, okay? All right. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful weekend. Train hard. All right, take care.